This is just a short video to help remind you, or to teach you, how to convert fractions and decimals between each other. Now, most calculators have a button which changes numbers between fractions and decimals. So if you have a calculator on you, you should be able to let the calculator do the work for you. However, we can save some time by knowing a few tricks. We have here 0.2. This is the same as saying 2/10 because this is in the tenths column. So we have the units, the ones, and then we have the tenths. So this would just be 2/10. Nice and simple. We have another example over here. We have 0.43. Now, we need to find the smallest units in order to write this decimal as a fraction. So we have 0.43. So this here is called the ones, this here is the tenths, and here is the hundredths. So this 0.43, if we were to write this as a fraction, it would be 43 over 100, because this is 3/100ths. Alright? So 43 hundredths. To convert back the other way, however, is a little bit trickier, and it involves doing some division. Over here, we have 20 over 100. Now, this is a very large fraction in terms of what numbers it has. So what we're going to do is we're going to simplify it. Now, this is a trick you can use for the rest of the probability unit, and you can also use this trick in algebra. So what we're going to do is we're going to give these two numbers what I like to call ears and legs. So we're going to give 20 a set of ears, and we're going to give 100 a set of legs. So we have 20 and 100. Now there's a number that fits into both of these. So what I do when I give my numbers arms and legs is I write down all the factor pairs, all the times tables for each one. So 20 would be, we could say 10 times 2. 10 times 2. We could also have 5 times 4. And we could also have 20 times 1. 20 times 1. So these are some factor pairs of our 20. So 100. Now, we can use some of these numbers up here to make some factor pairs of our 100. So 10 definitely goes into 100, because that would be 10 times 10. 5 goes into 100, because 5 times 20. Turns out that there's a 20 up the top too. We could also have 25 times 4. And we might leave it there. Now, what we're looking for is we're looking for a number that's up the top and a number that's down the bottom that matches, that is the highest number. So we can see up the top we have a 5, down the bottom we have a 5, up the top we have a 10, down the bottom we have a 10, up the top we have a 20, and down the bottom we also have a 20. So this 20 here and this 20 here are the highest common factors. So what we're going to do is we're going to split our 20 into 20 times 1. Sorry, that's a little bit messy. So this is now equal to 20 times 1. And our 100 is going to be split into 5 times 20. Now, 20 times 1 is 20. And on the bottom, 5 times 20 is 100. So we haven't changed anything. We've just changed how it looks. Now, we have a 20 on the top and a 20 on the bottom. So what we can do is we can cancel out these 20s. And then we can just write what's left over. So we just have 1/5. Now, 1/5 as a decimal, that we can get that using long division. Now, if you remember long division, it has a symbol that looks like this. And we write the bottom number out the front and the top number in our little division sign. Now this will be 0.0 because we are going to have to move our numbers across in order to get our answer. So we have 1 divided by 5. Well, we can't do 1 divided by 5, so it's going to be 0. However, I have a 1 left over. So this little 1 is going to then make this 0 into a 10. Now I have 10 divided by 5, which is 2. So this would be 0.2. So it turns out that 20 over 100 is equal to 0. Right, this example is going to just focus on the division side of the converting fractions. Hopefully that makes sense how to simplify, and we'll be doing lots of simplifying as we go. So let's just focus on converting this fraction into decimal. So we have 1/6. So we're going to write out the symbol for long division. So this is equal to, God damn it. Stuffed up my place, so I stuffed up my thinking. Alright, for this example is going to focus on just converting this fraction into a decimal number. So 1/6, we need to use long division. So we're going to write 6 out the front because that's the denominator. Then we're going to do the short division sign. And then we're going to write our 1 side. Now, 1 doesn't go into 6, so we're going to need some decimal places. Let's put a 0 here. So, how many times does 6 go into 1? Well, it doesn't, because 1 is very small and a 6 is very big. So, this is 0. So then this 1 carries over, and this 0 becomes a 10. How many times does 6 fit into 10? Well, this fits in 1 time. And then it has 4 left over. So we're going to have to write another 0. So we have now a 40. So 6 goes into 40 how many times? Well, 6 times 6 is 36. So it goes into it 6 times. And then has a remainder of 4. Because 36 plus 4 is 40. So this is going to be a repeating decimal, on and on and on. So we can just leave it as 0.167. Now, why would I leave it as a 7? That's because The next number is going to be a 6, and we can just round that up. So to write 1 over 6 as a decimal, we could just write 0.167. But you might come across something tricky like this, but generally it'll be something much simpler, like the previous example of 20 over 100. So this time we're going to have 1/4. Alright, so let's write this as a long division. So this will be 4 Let's look at another example. So this is 1 over 4. So to write that as a long division, we would write this as 4 and 1. Now, 1's not going to give us a nice number, so we're going to have to write a decimal. Now, 4 goes into 1 how many times? Well, can't, because 4 is really big and 1's really small. Then we carry this 1 over here. So 4 goes into 10 how many times? 2. And then we have 2 left over, because 4, 8, so we have 8, and we have 2 left over. We're going to need to write another 0. Now, 4 goes into 20 how many times? 5, because 4 times 5 is 20, or 20 divided by 4 is 5. So as a decimal, 1/4, or 1 over 4, is equal to 0.25.